Now, we're not quite there yet, but it is my understanding that Liverpool are closing in on a deal for Bayer Leverkusen midfielder Florian Wirtz. Now, I've seen a little bit of panic among supporters on social media that maybe this is dragging on and giving other clubs an opportunity to dive in, but there is confidence on all sides really that a deal will be struck here. Obviously Liverpool have come into this knowing that they're going to have to pay a club record fee, so that's not really caught them by surprise, and Bayer Leverkusen absolutely willing to sell for that big fee and much happier to do that to Liverpool than maybe Bayern Munich. And of course, crucially, Liverpool are the player's choice, which is the decisive factor in all this. So as I say, a real kind of belief on all sides that this will get done, but because it's such a big deal, it does take a little bit of time to iron out the details, and they are going through that process as I record this now. So with that in mind, I think we can be confident that the player is going to end up at Liverpool. So what I wanted to do was take a look at really why that is the case, and why are Liverpool so prepared to pay such an eye-watering sum for a single footballer in this window, because it's not something they do an awful lot, is it? You think back to those signings, kind of Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk are maybe in that group of players who were considered game changers. So why did he see Florian Wirtz as that type of signing, someone who's worth breaking the club record signing for? Well, I think it's important to stress before I start this that maybe go and have a look at some clips on YouTube and it'll probably give you a good idea. Of course, nothing really beats the eye test, does it? But what I wanted to do is, if you can't go and watch those clips, or you've watched those clips but you want a deeper understanding of why the player is so good, then I wanted to look at the numbers and give you that idea if I was able to do so. So I could start really with the kind of basics behind the player, really, in terms of he's 22 years of age. He's got 140 Bundesliga appearances to his name already, 35 goals and 47 assists, which are pretty decent numbers for a very young attacking midfielder. Of course, he won the Bundesliga and the German Cup with Bayer Leverkusen last season, in a season that Bayer Leverkusen were unbeaten all the way to the very end of the season until they suffered a defeat to Atalanta in the Europa League final. But he was an absolute crucial player in that, and they were so close to sealing a treble in that season, weren't they, under Xabi Alonso? So a key player in that. Now, of course, he's also represented Germany internationally. He was an under-21 Euros winner with Germany in 2021. He now has 29 senior caps with 6 goals and 7 assists. So again, pretty good for club, but also pretty good for country. And it's also worth noting that he suffered an ACL injury at the back end of the 21-22 season and missed from kind of March till the following December. But he hasn't done too badly in terms of his injuries since. He's only missed the odd game with small issues, so doesn't seem to be any kind of long-term effects from that ACL injury, and he's bounced back and looked very much the same player. But I do think it's always worth noting that injury was there, although they tend to have these days, with the way kind of modern medicine is and the way that sports science is, tend to have less of an effect on your career. I mean, look at Virgil van Dijk since he came back from his serious knee injury, and several other players have come back and been absolutely fine after those. But just worth noting that he did miss quite a bit of football a couple of seasons ago because of that serious knee injury. Now that's the basics done. Kind of want to talk about what position he operates in now and where he would maybe fit in to the Liverpool team. And I want to quickly talk about his role, because it's a little bit all over the place really, because one thing you can say about Xabi Alonso is that he's not a manager who just sticks to one system and is absolutely wed to that. He's tried several different formations during his time at Leverkusen, and Florian Wirtz has appeared in basically all of them really. I mean, I'd say the most popular position he's been used in is in a 3-4-2-1 formation. He's been kind of one of the two, so one of the 2 10s, or kind of a number 10 / narrow left winger. So that's been probably his most popular position, certainly this season. He's also played as a number 10, an out-and-out number 10 in a 4-4-1-1, and also up front in a 4-4-2, which actually you may remember he did at Anfield, kind of a false 9 type position, but it was kind of lined up basically as a 4-4-2. So he's a pretty flexible player. He's played in a few positions in those attacking areas. I think you can see that there's a kind of a clear preference in his game in where he kind of prefers to operate. In that, I bring up some progressive passes here, or his favoured progressive passes, and you can see there's a preference, isn't there, for that kind of left-hand space cutting in, kind of in that leftish number 10 position, as I say, that kind of narrow left winger or number 10, and it kind of reminds me a little bit actually of Felipe Coutinho. I guess if you pulled up his progressive passes from his time at Liverpool, it would look pretty similar to this in terms of his favouring that left-hand side. But I'm also going to bring up now a heat map as well to show you where he kind of touches the ball a lot, and I think this is from this season, and it does show that he doesn't mind going to the right-hand side either. He does favour that left-hand side, but he's very capable of going over to the right, and I think if you get him in central positions, which of course, in most formations that Leverkusen have used, he is in a central position, effectively playing as a number 10, that he can go, he does prefer the left, but he's equally capable of going to the right-hand side and trying to unpick defences from that position as well. So a very comfortable attacker in central areas who, his preference for coming in off the left is probably because he's right-footed, but very, very comfortable kind of trying to pull defences out and drift in any central area to try and find the magic to unpick a defence. So very capable of coming from either side. Now look at his attacking numbers now as well, and of course we know that his output in terms of goals and assists is really, really good, but it's worth looking at what underpins that. Are the underlying numbers looking good in terms of that? And I think the first thing I'm going to show you here is a wagon wheel for his attacking output, and wow, the first thing you look at there is he's in high percentiles for basically everything that makes you a good attacker. I think that is just incredibly impressive to look at. Pick out a few things here. Shots on target, right up there. Key passes, big chances created. I mean, if you were kind of creating a number 10 in a lab, these are the numbers that you would want him to be putting in. So I think that's really, really impressive there. And just have a quick look at that. It's literally everything you would want from him. Now, the numbers for that wagon wheel, are only compared to Bundesliga attacking midfielders. So I wanted to kind of look a little bit wider than that to give you an idea again just of how good he is. And so I looked on FBref and they can compare to attacking midfielders in the top 5 leagues over the last 365 days. And I bring the numbers up and yep, again, very, very, very good. Shows up really incredibly highly for shots, non-penalty expected goals, assists, shot creating actions. So I think it's fair to say that what we are looking at here is one of the best attacking midfielders, probably one of the best young players in European football at the moment. I think these numbers really underline that. And just to reel off a few more numbers as well that are incredibly impressive. In the 24-25 Bundesliga season, he ranks first for progressive carries, first for successful take-ons, first for through balls, and first for goal-creating actions. And actually, the latter two statistics there, he's been first in the last 2 seasons. So very, very consistent and just very, very good, a standout player in that league. And I think I've got further evidence of this actually, just how much he dominates kind of as an attacking midfielder in the Bundesliga, which you look at this one here where it shows his dribbling and creating statistics compared to other attacking midfielders in Germany, and look at him there. He is the outlier, he is the standout player, the number one, which is comparing him to Jamal Musiala's in there, Brandt is in there, Müller, Gross, Teller. These are very, very good players in the Bundesliga playing for top teams. Florian Wirtz outstrips them all in creating and dribbling. So he's just a very, very good attacking player, isn't he? And the underlying numbers are there to support that. He's not a streaky player by any means. He's just consistently very good. And the goals and the assists follow on from that. Now I wanted to also take a look at kind of his qualities in possession and give you an idea of kind of what he's like on the ball, and I think FBref, their statistics are quite handy here, so have a look at his numbers from there, and you can see that his progressive passes right up there. Again, this is compared to top 5 European leagues, so one of the best progressive passes amongst attacking midfielders in all of Europe at the moment, within the 93rd percentile. But he's not just a passer, he can also carry the ball as well, and he's 77th percentile for that. So he just, either through his passing or through dribbling or carrying the ball, he will get you into more dangerous areas of the pitch, which is always a handy quality to have. And he does that a lot of the time through kind of successful take-ons where he's 96th percentile. Again, kind of reminds you of Felipe Coutinho in that regard, doesn't he? Obviously, he was so good at bursting pass players and then playing a little through ball, and Wirtz has got that quality about him, or certainly the numbers show that as well. And also, if you do just watch him, he's got that in his locker. And I do want to actually touch on the dribbling just a little bit more here as well, because if you look at this map of his dribbles over the last Bundesliga season, and again, look at that. I mean, that is incredibly impressive. There are barely any unsuccessful dribbles there. So if he runs at you, the chances are he's going to pull it off and he's going to go past you. And I just think that is pretty remarkable to look at, really, just how good he is at his dribbling there. I think one thing I want to note here is that we talk about progression with his carries, progressing the ball with his passing as well. And I've spoken about Trent Alexander-Arnold a lot in that regard. I wouldn't say Wirtz is a replacement in that sense, because he's doing a lot of his progression in advanced areas already, so he's moving it from the kind of number 10 position into the box or out wide into near the byline for a crossing area. I do think Liverpool need someone who gives them that progression from deep, someone who can pick out Wirtz basically when the ball is at the centre halves, who can find in between the lines. That is still something I think is key for Liverpool to find without Trent. But once you get it there and you get Wirtz in those positions, he will absolutely do the rest creatively, won't he? I think those numbers absolutely underline that. Now, I'm going to have a quick look now just to wrap up with his defending, and I think, look, this is not, I think, what Liverpool are going to get him in the team for. He's never going to stand out in that regard. As much as they'll want him to press and show energy in his defensive work, he's not going to be a defensive standout in the numbers, of course, because there are some other attacking midfielders who are more maybe focused on that. But I think the comparison with Dominik Szoboszlai, who of course has operated in the 10 for much of this season for Liverpool, is maybe worthwhile. So I'll bring up a chart here that maybe compares them in all aspects of the game. But you can see on the defensive aspects, there's clear deficits there on clearances, aerial win percentage of dribblers tackled. But he does do quite well on blocks. So, getting in front, just, maybe a bit of pressing there, really, I guess, to just get in front of the ball when they try to clear, to just close down defenders. So you didn't show up too badly there. And then you look at every other aspect, all the attacking, all the possession marks. He's a million miles ahead of Szoboszlai in a lot of these, really, isn't he? So I think there's a trade-off there in terms of, and maybe it will be a case of kind of horses for courses, really, with how Arne Slot approaches this. Home games against the lesser lights, you've got to get Wirtz there in the 10, and maybe Dominik Szoboszlai is one of the deeper two. That's an option for them. But I think maybe you go away to Manchester City. Do you put Dominik Szoboszlai in that 10 to give you that work rate and that protection in central areas, and then maybe play Wirtz off the left where he can work his magic and there's less defensive onus on him? That's the options the manager's going to have in terms of bringing Wirtz in. But I think look, if you get the opportunity to sign someone of this quality, as I say, one of the best young players in the world, then you have to just think about those trade-offs and you have to work them out as you go through the season, because you cannot pass up the chance to sign a player who shows up as well as this in the numbers, and who, as I say, watch the clips of him. He's absolutely magic. He's a fantastic player. He's very one that I think is worth Liverpool supporters getting very, very excited about. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Anyway, do let me know what you thought of the analysis, what you think of the player. As I say, do go and watch him as well, but do let me know how excited you are about the prospect of Liverpool signing him. And anybody who's watched him more regularly than I have, do let me know your thoughts and how he's going to fit in with Liverpool and where you see him fitting into this team as well. But I'm going to leave it there and ask you to please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys very soon.